South East Radio's Business Matters with Karl Fitzpatrick.
My next guest has worked with some leading international sports stars and global corporate brands to achieve success. Steve Black, you have worked with the Welsh rugby team, the British and Irish Lions rugby teams, and Fulham and Sunderland football clubs. But what was it like working with such big and well-known sports teams?
Oh, well, it was fantastic. I think when you enjoy what you do, it's and you get a chance to do it at the top level. It's heaven on earth, really. So I've always enjoyed the teams I've worked with. Obviously, from Newcastle, Sunderland, Huddersfield, Norwich, Fulham, in football, to across the board. Really, I was the first professional coach in the new professional era in rugby in the world, I think, in Newcastle Falcons. So I was coaching the football team then, and then I sort of took on the rugby team as well. So I was coaching Newcastle United and Newcastle Falcons at the same time. And then I went down to the Welsh national team in partnership with Graham Henry, who went on to coach the All Blacks and won the World Cup with the All Blacks. Then I came back to Newcastle. And one of the guys that I'd sort of mentored since he was a young lad, Johnny Wilkinson, I also went across with him across to Toulon to support him for the 5 years he was there. The best sports people in the world tend to want to pay the price for to get better. They'll tend to do the right things, and they'll do them at the right time, and they'll try to do them at the quality necessary, and they'll work hard at that. And they tend to be successful, not just because of their abilities or their character and wanting to do, but they tend to have the right people around them. So they tend to have, invariably good support, either from home or from their friends in that circle or their community or whatever. But you'll tend to find people who are really successful do have a great support. And
in spite of the change of sports, did you have a common approach when working with these teams?
Yeah, well, it's a great question. Blackie, how can you do that? How can you go from, football to rugby to boxing to athletics to fencing to whatever, and all the different things that I do. And it's because I don't just coach sport; I coach people. So invariably, especially if it's a team situation, you're trying to create a synergy. So you're trying to gel the best of everyone together. And that's the best of their skills, but also their personalities as well. So everybody's got to feel connected, and you've got to keep people connected, and you've actually got to love them. It's probably slightly different love that you have for your wife and children, mum and dad and all that type of thing, but it's a definitely love of sorts, there's no doubt about that. And right at the start of anything I do, I decide to like the people I'm going to work with. I decide to like them, so there can't be any conflict there. So I think that's massively important.
In your opinion, is mental strength just as important as sporting ability in achieving success?
Well, there you go. That's another great question. Probably when I first, about 30 years ago, when I first was at sort of the top of professional sports, for example, I used to say it was 75% mental and about 25% physical. But I used to say that the physical side is very, very important. You've got to get that right, because you need energy and you need to be able to bespokely move the way that you need to move in that particular sport activity, and you've got to get your skills right. But the mental strength is the one that pulls you through. So that's the difference. That's undoubtedly the difference. So if you say someone's in the ballpark from a physical and skill level, then the mental strength will ensure that they become champions or not. But I would say I got that wrong, the 75%. I would say now at the top level, it's about 90%. It's about 90% mental, psychological, and about 10% physical. To be able to turn a pressure into a stimulant, because that's important, because stress weakens, but a stimulant strengthens. And if you look at another word for stimulant in a way is a particular type of pressure. Now, all the people who do really, really well can handle that well. They actually thrive under the pressure, where stress can take some of the most incredibly gifted people and can weaken them.
You've now transferred to the corporate world and you've also worked with some big names in this space. But are there any similarities between the sport and business arenas?
Massively so. Honestly, massively so. If I took you with me into some boardrooms, Fortune 500 companies, and the real top whiz kids coming through in business, or people who have paid their dues through the end, have a longevity in business, they've got a great ability to focus. There's no doubt about that. Great sportsmen, great businessmen, people who succeed in anything in life have the ability to give some of their attention and to focus on it. To declutter, to get rid of all the clutter in their lives, to get rid of all the fog and all the mist, and to see things for what it is. Don't look for obstacles, move them out of the way. And there's a quiet optimism in people. So, people don't need to be skipping down the street whistling to think that they're happy in that. Some people are happy in different ways and don't need to overtly show it, even though I do say to people, it's quite important to try and show it in a team setting. Don't hide how much you care, because attitude is incredibly infectious and highly contagious. So the question I ask everyone, whether it's business or in sport, is your attitude worth catching? Which is quite an important question to ask all of us, isn't it? Because sometimes we can end off looking at other people and judging other people, and you should, turn the mirror on yourself a little bit at times and saying, well, am I behaving in a way that is going to lift people up around me and energise people? Or am I being a bit of a vampire and taking energy away from people? And unfortunately, there's a lot of vampires in life, but the vampires in life tend to be around people who don't fulfil their potential or really make it to the top.
And Steve, typically, for what reasons would a business entity engage your services, and what approach do you take when assisting them?
And it's all down to relationships, it really is. You never go in and just browbeat. You never go in and just teach. It's very important that when you go in to turn teaching into coaching, because coaching improves performance, which is there's a slight difference there. There's a few different areas to look at. It must always be in all our lives. There must be a teaching element in our lives. We must be getting taught about things, because teaching brings an understanding. And then we have coaching. What does coaching do? Coaching tends to work on improving performance, on actual performance, whether it's in mainline business or in sport. Managing tends to work on organisation and process. Mentoring tends to work on moving people towards their potential. So if those things are always there, it's like a blend of those things all the time, and you work up and down. So it's important that you have that blend when you're working with people in business. What I try to do in businesses and in teams is to get people to mentor each other. So if I went into a business, I try to get everyone to mentor someone and everyone to be mentored. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you're doing that, what you're doing is you're building and building and building the culture. So the culture gets stronger and stronger all the time, because you've got everyone helping each other.
And finally, Steve, you spoke at last month's Rejuvenate Ireland Conference in Wexford. But what was your key message for the audience on the day?
Well, the key message really on the day was, from me, was energy. And energy is fantastically important. You can prepare well. You can know exactly what to do. You can have a fantastic strategy. You can have all the skills in the world. You can be able to interact with people. You can be a good team person and everything. You can have all that ready. But if you're tired, then you'll not be able to do it. So it's important. You'll tend to find that people who are tired are lethargic. And if you're lethargic, what can't you be? It's the opposite, really. You can't be enthusiastic. If you're not enthusiastic, you can't be energetic. And you'll invariably, when you think about it, not be able to do a great job. There's almost nothing you can't do better when you're feeling energetic and full of energy and in control of your emotions, etc., than if you're tired and lethargic and actually you start being a little bit sloppy from a quality standpoint and that type of thing. So the main thing was energy. And then you'll ask the question, well, how does that work in reality? Well, it means You have to stay hydrated. You have to drink lots of water, stay hydrated. You've got to eat healthily. You've got to exercise. You know, you need to, exercise can be going for a walk. It's not necessarily having to do a marathon. It's not necessarily having to turn into an Olympic champion. It's moving, just to move, just to keep moving. Walking upstairs and taking long walks and all this manner of things. Just being active is very, very important. Very important to spend time with people who are also energetic, because that's very contagious as well, and that can lift you in itself. So you actually need the old adage of work, rest and play is hugely important.
Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Karl Fitzpatrick.